It is now a couple minutes past the top of the 11 a.m. hour, but the crew is in the building. You got myself, you got Baldy in here.
Yes,
Frank
sir.
is
Yes, sir.
listening in from his remote location. And I'm sure once we get to some of these topics that we got in store for you today, he will chime in at some point. Frank, you're gonna have to pay attention later on because you know we're gonna have to get your picks. So that means don't get a schedule now and start doing them and have your schedule halfway done by the time we get to those. Because we can't see you right now, so we don't know if you on it or not. So you know where we are. Facebook Sports Rap Podcast is the group page, and once again, everybody, Monday morning, and welcome to another installment of the Sports Rap Podcast. So before we get started, and everybody knows what goes on in the morning and how we open up. We are going to open up our normal way as always, but I just wanted to talk to you a little bit real quick about my busy weekend. And I know some of you saw the post that I had over the weekend. And the weekend for me this weekend was a bit busy, but fun also. Saturday, I kicked off Saturday with another great interview with the ladies of Royal Sisters Project. So go check them out. You can go back and check the video out on the group page and go check them out. Those ladies, those young African American sisters are doing amazing things in this city, and they have some great aspirations. So get over when you get a chance to their social media and check them out. Saturday evening, I followed up with the Camden Monarchs season and home opener, which was actually their home opener and season opening weekend. I did not attend the second game on Sunday, but I did get to the game on Saturday. So shout outs to the Camden Monarchs for kicking off their season over the weekend. Then yesterday, good friend of mine, Baldy probably remembers me once I say his name, Chuck Bolger.
Yes, sir.
Classmate of mine, very good friend, real good dude. The F2 crew tailgating down at the Eagles game yesterday. I was welcomed at one point before we got into the pandemic, and just with doing so much stuff with the show and doing so much other stuff, didn't get a chance to get back. And then by chance we hit the pandemic, things changed, but now we're back. So I had a great time with them yesterday, and thanks thanks Chuck for inviting me as always, and it's good to see you. And we'll definitely talk some more throughout, whether it's on social media or whatever. But again, thank you, and thank you to the F2 crew for having me out and showing me much love and much hospitality. So we are going to jump in, going to get into the news and updates real quick. I'm going to try and get through these real quick. Sportsman of the Year will be revealed live on December 7th on the Sports Illustrated Award Show. The WNBA eliminates single elimination games and buys in their new playoff format. So this is like the second time, I think, second or third time that they changed their format, and in hopes that they can improve on the play and improve on their viewership, because they need the help. So I'm applauding them for making changes and trying to do some things to get more people interested and in tune with the WNBA. Ben Simmons again reiterated his trade demands to the Sixers. We are definitely going to talk some Ben Simmons today. It seems like an ongoing soap opera. Well, not seems like, but it is going to be an ongoing soap opera. And every other week, if not every week, we get some new details. But the way we're going to look at it this week is a little interesting. So we'll get to that somewhere later on down the line. Manfred says, the baseball commissioner says a lockout could move MLB's talks forward. I'm sure it would, because you'd be losing a lot of money if you have a lockout. Teams won't play, you can't get no concessions, none of that, so all of that would help, definitely. Joe Biden is a lockout and could move, wait a minute, sorry. Joe Biden, I'm looking at the comments and some of the comments, and I'm trying to read this stuff too, so just bear with me for a second. Joe Biden is considering a diplomatic boycott of the Olympic Games, which I think is a little bit of a stretch. I'm not sure how that's going to work out. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll definitely see what happens when that time comes up. Also, Julius Jones' death sentence has been reduced to life in prison. Rams owner's threat could cost the NFL billions in a lawsuit stemming from his 2017 in regards to his regional convention and sports complex going at this that issue with him not paying some fees or something is going to go to trial in 2022. The Sixers have apparently a list of 30 players they would accept for Simmons. Former UConn coach Jim Calhoun is stepping down from D3 St. Joseph. So he's finally giving it up. Well, well, well. Let's see here. We're going to take a quick second, see what we got. We're going to backtrack a little bit. We got some comments here. The boss lady, Monica Mason, at Simply Monica 72, has said good morning to us. Hey, as well to you. Again, like I talked to you briefly this morning in the text, I'm sure everything went well yesterday. And folks, if you missed it, Life Isn't Fair, the play at the Met, written by Philadelphia's own, I forget his name, but he is a Philadelphia native, starring our boss lady Monica Mason, also Baldy's homie Cuddy, Clifton Powell, Snoop from The Wire, and plenty of other people. So if you didn't get out to enjoy that, she will be in studio tomorrow, so I'm sure that you will get the tea on that. Nate Phillips, when we talked about the Ben Simmons issue, said just trade him already. Yeah, we wish it was that simple. But again, I think Daryl Morey is sticking to his guns, or is going to stick to his guns, and he's not going to do it just to do it. So we'll talk about that. So stay tuned. Yeah, you can't do it that way. Crawford versus Porter last Saturday night. Crawford takes that and a TKO in a somewhat strange ending to that fight. It was really, really strange. I didn't see the whole fight, but I did see some of the stuff after the fact, and I did see that part, but it was a little strange.
Yeah, it was the call. His father made the call.
Yeah,
I mean, he got dropped twice.
It was a little strange.
And he could tell, he could see, like we know that Porter, he's a guy that slug it out.
Right.
And I think Pop just was like, nah.
It ain't worth it.
Yeah, because he, apparently he had already said that he was already thinking about retiring, whether he lost or not.
Right.
And I think Pop just saw it like,
we're
gonna
let
let you go out on your back.
Absolutely.
Because that's where it was heading to.
Yeah, absolutely. Go out standing up. The Bears, Khalil Mack has been put on the IR, probably done for the season. I want to talk a little bit about this when we close out as well, and I'm just adding this in. Ex-NFL running back Zac Stacy has been arrested for assault following a viral video. George, thanks for tuning in. So if you haven't seen that video, I don't know what rock you're living under. It's going viral, but we will talk about that if you don't know what that situation was. Antonio Brown could face legal punishment if he used a fake vaccination card. So we be both sitting here chuckling about this, right? But it's a funny thing, but she made a good point. I talked to Hope about it, and she said to me, well, people are just so stupid. And because it was just a general conversation and I brought it up, my initial thought was like, what do you mean? She was like, well, why are you going to go pay for a fake card when you can just get the shot for free? And I said, you know what? I said, that you make a very good point. And I never thought about it that way. But, since the Kyrie Irving situation, so many more people are, I think, beginning to want to try and use that. I need more information, and I'm not sure about it going on, and this, that, and the third. But I still say, and I get that, I understand where people might be coming from with that angle, but I also want to say to people, it's not solely about you. It's about the people you work around, the people you live around, even as far as some family members. that you may be around. And then just being out in general, because
Yeah.
people are out now. So being out in general. So I'm sure people will do what they're going to do anyway, but just take some consideration on that end and think about it. As far as me, I'm vaccinated and I've just recently gotten my booster. It was free from work, but
Mm-hmm.
now there's just recently, as the end of last week, the mayor has put out a memo that I think it's January or February of 2022. All City of Philadelphia employees have to be vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, folks, some people I've heard when I got the first one and the second one had said that they had got some flu-like symptoms. They got a little chills and whatever. And I mean that, in my opinion, that is arguably going to happen. It just depends on that person and their particular immune system.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I didn't really have any issues with the first two shots. It was no big deal for me. I'm tatted. I got needles, so I'm not scared of needles. When I was younger, I used to get an allergy shot every week,
Mm-hmm.
so it's no big issue for me. But I will say, when I got the booster, my arm was a little bit more sore than when I got the first two. But it was offered to me, and like I said, the way that I look at it, the position I have at my job, and being here, being out as you saw me out this weekend, and being at home, not wanting to take something home by accident.
Mm-hmm.
So I just felt like it was the best thing for me to do, and I did it. George Mason, basketball recruit, uh, is charged with murder. Nate Phillips says he was advised to take 2 Tylenol before each shot. See, so there you have it, folks. We got some followers that are giving you all the advice. Take 2 Tylenol before you get the shot is some advice. And that may help.
Mm-hmm.
It may not. Like I said, it all depends on each individual's immune system. The Sacramento Kings over the weekend fired Luke Walton. They now named Alvin Gentry the interim coach. University of Florida fires their football coach Dan Mullen after a loss to Missouri. Michael Porter Jr. could miss the rest of the season with a back injury.
Mm-hmm. Same one he had coming in the league.
This was the issue with him coming in. And lastly, shout outs to little big cuzzo Jason Collier, number 50, University of Pittsburgh, and shout out to him and his teammates for winning the Coastal Division title over the weekend. So you can check him out, number 50, University of Pittsburgh, redshirt sophomore. But I will definitely keep you up to date on what he's doing and what's going on with him. So we got some scores, but before we get into these scores, I'm gonna we're gonna do these scores first, then we're gonna jump right into that. We're gonna probably jump right into that Zac Stacy issue. NBA yesterday, the Clippers outlast the Mavs 92-91. Lakers in a brawl, pun very much intended, 121-116 over the Pistons. The Suns defeat the Nuggets 126-97. The Bulls beat the Knicks 109-103. And the Warriors beat the Raptors 119-104. In the NHL, the Wild defeat the Lightning 4-3 in the shootout. The Sabres fall to the Rangers 5-4. The Flames blank the Bruins 4-0. The Maple Leafs 3-0 over the Islanders. The Blackhawks 1-0 over the Canucks. The Seattle Kraken, the expansion team, beat the Capitals 5-2. And the Coyotes outlast the Kings in overtime 2-1. Couple college basketball scores from yesterday. Merrimack falls to Virginia Tech 72-43. West Virginia outlasts Clemson 66-59. Boston College falls to Rhode Island 71-65. Number 5 Villanova takes one on the chin to Purdue 80-74. Number 17 Tennessee beats my guys, number 18 UNC. Florida State 73, LMU 45. NC State 65, Texas Southern 57. Number 22 St. Bonaventure defeats Marquette 70-54. Arizona upsets Michigan 80-62. FAMU falls to Miami 86-59. So before we get into our NFL scores, or as a matter of fact, let's do the NFL scores real quick, and then we can get right into the Zac Stacy thing, and then we can talk a little bit more NFL while we are there. Going back to Thursday for Week 11, New England blanks Atlanta 25-0. Moving into yesterday, Sunday afternoon, Indianapolis 41, Buffalo 15, and a shocker to me.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, I'm in a little bit of a confusion with Buffalo right now. For me, it kind of seems like they've fallen into the trap where they've gotten good enough. They've been noticed that they are good enough. And I think they're in that stage where they're starting to look past some teams or underestimate some teams. They just lost to somebody else. I think it was like Jacksonville or something last week.
Yeah,
or
I
something.
think it was
And then not that Indianapolis is a bad team, but it's one of those things where it just looks like maybe they feeling themselves a little bit. Baltimore outlast Chicago 16-14. Detroit falls to Cleveland 13-10. Houston outlasts Tennessee 22-13. Minnesota gets by Green Bay 34-31. Miami beats the Jets 24-17. The Saints fall in Philly to the Eagles 40-29. Washington football team takes care of business at Carolina and beat them 27-21. San Fran beats Jacksonville 30-10.
Get it.
Cincinnati over Las Vegas 32-13. Dallas falls in KC 19-9. Arizona 23-13 over Seattle. And Pittsburgh in the nightcap last night 37-41. They fall to the Chargers. So there you have your scores. Closing out tonight, we have the New York Giants at the Tampa Bay Bucks. So,
Andy, on the side of football, for all you college football people, just to backtrack a little bit and give you just two scores. Two scores. Oregon, number 3 Oregon, loses 38-7.
Oh, thanks, Rich. Yeah, they did lose to the Jaguars. Good morning, Rich, and thanks for that info.
To unranked Utah. Number 10, Wake Forest, loses to unranked Clemson 48-27. It's a lot about to happen in that top 10 and that playoff format of college football.
Yeah.
So if you're not really watching a lot of college football, over the last weeks or so, I've only really went over the upsets.
Right.
Because the upsets are pretty much, it's formulating who's going to be in that playoff format.
I mentioned to you guys, they are talking about making it a 12-team playoff. So we'll definitely, Richard said Oregon is probably going to be out. Hey, listen, we've seen stranger things happen, so I'm not disputing that. I'm not really doubting that.
You just gotta keep your eye on the ranking.
Yeah, because they've been changing. It's crazy how
they go from 3 to like 10 or 11.
It's been a lot. Like we talked about the injuries. What was it last year with the pandemic and everything? We talked about all the injuries and everything in football. This year, if you look at college football, it's so many upsets and the number of weeks that have jostled the standings in a little bit stronger way than it has in the past. You know, we always see some jostling here and there, but I mean, we've had teams that jumped up like 4 or 5 spots, teams that have fallen 4 or 5 spots, and it's like just about every week or every other week, something major is happening.
Yeah, they finally, and I've just happened to look at it, they finally have University of Texas San Antonio. They were undefeated for the past 5 to 6 weeks and weren't ranked up until last week. Right. So up until last week, they weren't, the week before, they weren't ranked. They're 15 now. They still are 11-0, but they're 15. So it's going off the strength of schedule. It's going off of who you're playing, and naturally, teams that are 10-1 because of their conference and because of the strength of the schedule, they're going to be ranked over that 11-0 team coming from that conference. But I mean, there's a lot of 10-1 teams.
I think Cincinnati will get in this year.
Yeah,
they might.
If they can hold off.
In worst case scenario, they might just owe it to them.
yeah, they gonna hold, because I mean, at the end of the day, right now, if they can hold off.
Yeah.
Because what can happen is, if Cincinnati loses one, they'll find a way to bump them completely out because of the people that have one in front of them.
Right.
So I mean, that have one behind them. Notre Dame has one. Michigan has one. Oklahoma State has one.
Right.
Oklahoma has one. You know what I mean? And then you get to the bottom side of the 25, which is San Diego States and all them. They're not probably going to get up into that area. You know what I mean? Unless upsets continue to happen.
Yeah. Rick says too much blowback if they
it'll be
right.
Right.
If they go undefeated.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that was the reason why they created this format, was to eliminate the possibility of a team, that was not that they deemed not worthy enough to be in the national championship, now have the opportunity to prove that they belong by creating that format. Right. So you can't keep putting them out of there, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, they gonna find a way in sooner or later.
Yeah, hopefully they get in there. That'll be a nice little Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, Cincinnati.
Definitely be good for them. So, getting back to the story that I mentioned to you, and if you have not seen it, at your leisure, if you can stomach it, you can Google it, you can check out the video. And this is in regards to the ex-NFL running back Zac Stacy, who has most recently been arrested for an assault on his ex-girlfriend, mother of his child. And he assaulted her in a way that no human should be assaulted, and let alone a professional athlete doing this to a woman. The video for me was extremely disturbing because the little bit of research I did, the way I got the story was that you were already out of the home. You guys weren't together, but you have a responsibility, and the young lady was just making sure that you honored your responsibility. I don't know how the situation fully played out with him actually being at her house, but nonetheless, what transpired supersedes him being there because of the assault. Again, very disturbing to me, because like I said, no human should ever endure that kind of assault or that kind of punishment, let alone, again, a professional athlete versus a petite woman. And to make it even more amplified, the 5-month-old child was on the couch. And I get it, some people may go on a limb and say, well, he might not know fully what's going on. It might just be the noise that shook him and he didn't understand why it was so much noise. And I totally get that. But when you look at the adults in the picture who knew the child was there, and I keep saying the adults, but I'm focusing all on Zac Stacy. You knew your child was there. Why not just leave?
What's crazy? It's hard to watch for me because, one, I got a daughter, and I can't imagine my daughter being in a situation where, a grown man. I'm going to jail. I'm gonna tell you right now. We live right now. I'm going to jail because listen. There's no way possible that a grown man is going to be able to put his hands on my daughter like that and not just walk around like anything. I'm going to jail.
Absolutely.
Your Honor, I did.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna go ahead and do my burn, but
yeah, absolutely.
I'm probably gonna want to cut that bull fingers off, man. I want to do something diabolical to this dude, so that it never happens again. I want you wearing prosthetic fingertips for the rest of your life. I don't want you even be able to ball a fist no more. You know what I mean? Because here it is in the NFL, and I believe
absolutely, Rich.
And I believe that they created that domestic violence policy back right after Ray Rice. It was at like 2014 somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
But domestic violence has been going on in the NFL way prior before Ray Rice got there.
Way before that.
Way before he got there. So, you know, I hate the fact that they had to create a policy based on something that was connected to a black man. I hate that. Mm-hmm. I hate that. Because we didn't create this atmosphere.
Right.
So don't use him as a barometer. The kick was they got a black eye because it was on video. Absolutely. And now they're saying, what are you going to do?
Right.
How are you going to deal with this situation that's caught on video? Mm-hmm. So here we have again another situation caught on video. Young black man beating up this woman.
Rich said, that's my daughter. Zach going to catch worse than what he did.
He exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. As a father.
Absolutely.
You know, as a father, you look at it disgustingly, naturally, but you look at it in a vindictive way because you want that get back. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm going to get this joker.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's kind of a weird thing with the NFL because there's so much more going on in the NFL in terms of crime. But this has been going on in the NFL for an extremely long time. And for all those women who had dealt with men prior to 2014, when they was reporting that information to the NFL about one of their players doing this to them, and they did nothing, that's opening up floodgates for the backdrop. All the cases that came before that, all that stuff is now going to come back to the forefront. It just naturally has to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, 2014, come on now.
Yep.
It ain't that long ago.
It ain't not that long ago.
Now, I mean, we a hot 7 years back.
Right.
You know what I mean? But this situation is bad, man.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad.
It's bad. And the stigma that it's going to put on some of these specific athletes, and the entire situation with athletes in general, it's even though they don't want the black guy, the video went viral, so there is a black guy. Mm-hmm. It's been a black guy. Right. Previously, like Baldy said, it's been going on for so long that you can arguably say the black guy has been there, but it was smooth enough where they could cover it up with makeup.
Correct.
This one, this is like the fresh out the ring, not even before you put the sunglasses on, the Martin Lawrence episode when he fought Tommy Hearns. This is that kind of black guy.
It is.
And I don't know if the NFL is going to actually get involved or heavily involved because he is no longer a member of the NFL. But I think they will do something or put something in place and kind of use this as an example, maybe even in a slight way, a teaching mechanism for some of these players to let them know that, yo, look, we all know how social media is. And we saw this video go viral and he's not even with us. But if one of you jokers that are under contract feel like y'all want to go that route, mm-hmm. we got something for you. Now,
yeah. Richards is right. And Rich said, just a thought though, what about the head injuries to former players, and roids plays a factor in these situations, a la head trauma cover up in the NFL? right? You know, all that stuff plays a part. You got to think about what was the thought process of him doing that. That's one. Two, the policy does state that in the event of a domestic violence issue, you're supposed to get 6 games suspension from the rip, no pay. Upon investigation, I guess they ain't need to investigate. They saw what they saw. It is what it is. They do not want you representing them. So let's go ahead and forego this 6 game. It's a wrap. But you're looking at the also, like what he said, you got to take into account that this head trauma situation and the things that these guys do. I'm not going to say because of the head trauma, but this is what the NFL did.
Right.
This could be a factor. So now, if you saying this could be a factor, how can you straight up just fire this guy when you don't know the psychological aspect of what he was doing? Was he in the right mind frame?
Right. Was
he in the mind frame of almost like an Aaron Hernandez where he just couldn't stop? He just couldn't control. He just couldn't control himself in that aspect. What type of rage was he? Like you said, we don't know how he got in the house because that's not on there.
Right.
But what if he spent the night there?
Right. Right.
And then they have a little disagreement that morning. And that puts him into a rage.
Yep.
Or what if he was already in a rage before he got there?
Yeah.
So these things play a part. I'm not making an excuse. I'm just
big, very, very huge part. Nate Phillips says, if a person takes you to a level where you want to put your hands on them, walk away and take a breath or two. Domestic violence is never an option. I agree with you there, Nate. But like Baldy just mentioned, we don't officially know what state he was in. And I'm not saying, because I said the same thing when I said, why not just walk away? That's usually the easiest way. Rich says head hits are like a 35 to 40 mile per hour car crash. Proven. Yeah, so very, very sad. I've seen the young lady speak in some video after the fact, and she appeared to be okay. And that's just physically.
Right.
Because in no way, shape, or form, mentally, is she okay.
Right. True.
No way. I don't care who looks at the picture, who looks at the beginning or the video and then looks at her afterward and says, she's all right. Nah. Physically, she appears to be okay. But this is something that will traumatize her, arguably, for the remainder of her life. Because we know how cognitive kids are. And I'm not necessarily saying, again, that 5-month-old child fully understood. He probably understood that it was a lot of commotion and a lot of noise, and he did what babies do. He cried for help because he needed to know what was going on. He was scared with all that noise going on. She couldn't even get to him to comfort the kid. So for her to take a stand and say that she wanted the video to go viral is huge and brave on her behalf. Also, I think that there needs to be some domestic violence supporters who should be stepping in if they have not already stepped in. And they need to make this a statement. And African American man, I get that. I don't want nobody to lose their job. I don't want nobody to go to jail and none of that. But this type of situation, a lot of attention has to be paid to.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at, like when they said, you want somebody to have these steps to where they can try to control their anger, and I get that. In the mental health field, you and I both work. I formerly, you currently. And in the mental health field, the one thing that you do know is you can teach everybody in there coping skills.
Yep.
Question is, who's using them? And what's the diagnosis of the individual you're trying to create these coping skills with? Because guess what? A count to 1, 2, 3 don't help to a cat that's bipolar schizophrenic.
Right.
So again, you're talking about a possible head trauma. And I'm not making an excuse for this man's behavior. The NFL already did those things.
Right.
What I'm saying is, if you have an individual who possibly, over the last 15, 20 years, ran his head into somebody, there's a remote possibility that when things occur in his life, his reaction is what he does on a football field. His reaction is aggression. It is not a step back and count. That's not his. He's going off a natural instinct.
Yep.
That's his natural instinct. So yeah, his natural instinct.
Thanks for tuning in.
His natural instinct got the best of him.
Yeah.
He's a violent player. That's almost like a boxer, not telling, boy, I'm gonna go in and hold back this right hook on you.
Right.
And you in the street.
Yeah.
Again, Mike Tyson.
Absolutely.
So, all these things that we think about in terms of what we would hope a person would do, in reality, if you're not taught coping skills, how do you know them?
Right.
If no one has ever showed you how to truly cope in situations, how am I at a split second supposed to just walk away?
Right.
Supposed to count to 3.
Yeah.
Supposed to
somebody.
Right. Supposed to just what we call stop, think, then react. All these things, all these coping mechanisms, if they haven't been taught,
right,
then we can't expect an individual who plays a violent sport to react to things in an aggressive manner, to then have the pause button in a situation that's emotionally got the best of them.
Right. And
you know what I mean? It's hard.
Just to piggyback like you said, and in that short time frame, it's that, like they say in sports, it's that read and react. And like Baldy said, we not condoning what he did or taking up.
Right. He wrong,
but
bottom line.
That situation, you look at it like that read and react. In his mind, you can't really hear what's going on, the audio in the video. So somewhere in there, as I'm watching it, and I'm just telling you what I saw. Like I said, I'm not taking up for this man in any way. I'm telling you what I visualized and what I interpreted from what I visualized. It looked like just what Baldy said, read and react, because he was a football player. He read the situation and he reacted. But like Baldy said, coming from the environment that he was so heavily in, and you got to understand too, people, just a small smidgen of that is when you're a professional athlete, that is your life for the time that you're in season. So again, read and react. He read what she said, and like I said, we don't know what she said. It may not have even been anything bad, but the way he interpreted, the way he read it, it was. And then he reacted like he normally would on the football field.
And there is a portion in that video where, and this is after he hit her and all that, and she was on that floor, he was saying something, like you said, we don't know what he was saying. He was saying something, and he was walking towards the door like he was going to leave.
And then he turned around and he came back.
And then he came back. And and listen, I'm on the outside looking in, you on the outside looking in. Whatever he was thinking at that moment, he already realized it's too far gone.
Yep.
It was too far gone.
Yep.
And like I said, I don't know if anything was said in between him or her when he was on his way out the door. But all I know was he turned back around and then gripped her up and tried to do something else to her. You know what I mean? And certainly, let me know if I'm right or wrong, but I don't know if he hit her again after that. I think he
he kind of like
clinched at her and didn't hit her again after that.
Yeah.
But I think that's when it kicked in.
Right.
Kicked in like, oh
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's a wrap.
I didn't duh.
Yeah. And he don't know that there's a camera there. She put the camera there.
Yeah. So
You get what I'm saying?
exactly, and you know what I'm getting ready to say.
We gotta choose our words wisely.
You know what I'm getting ready to say.
The camera was placed there for a reason. Maybe to catch his reaction on tape, or
and I was just
or whatever
about
it
to
was.
say either that to catch his reaction. It happened previously.
And that's what I was going to say. It happened before.
She had the fear that
something was going to happen.
It's one of them three reasons.
Yeah.
It's got to be one of those three. And the way he did it, and the way that situation that Baldy just explained to you towards the end of the video, where it finally did click, and you see his body language, I'm tending to swing more to she was fearful of something that was going to happen, or something maybe not as severe had happened before. Mm-hmm. So, folks, 11:43. We will, as always, definitely keep our ears to the street and ears to that story and get you information as we get it. Right. Absolute, Rich. I appreciate that. Before we close out on our first break, Nate chimes back in and he says, I'm not promoting his behavior by no means, but some females be provoking these dudes and then play victim when the stuff goes left. I get your point.
There are women like that.
Nate, yeah, I get your point.
And there's some grown men out here
right,
like terrorizing women.
Yeah. But again, I say, yeah, and Lay, I'm not disagreeing with what you said. I totally agree with you, because I know that there are some women that like that
they do.
Will provoke you to cross that line. All I'm saying is the severity of what he did in that moment was unnecessary.
Yeah. No getting around that one.
Absolutely. Folks, you are tuned in to SportsRap E100 Radio. When we return, we are going to talk some NBA. We're going to talk a little bit of Ben Simmons. I got a little piece about Rich Paul that I want to discuss. And just to let you know, and I failed to mention this in the opening, the NBA general managers are now forming an association. In the midst of all the situations that we have reported to you in the past several weeks, Phoenix Suns, Portland Trailblazers, and the Portland Trailblazers one has gotten so bad that it forced their president to resign, to remove himself from the situation. Stay tuned, folks. SportsRap on the other side in just a couple minutes.